I think it's still saying it's starting.
Yeah, now it says it's
Hello.
live. Are we live?
Hooray! Ooh. I'm trying to see where the window is where I was gonna start watching, so I could tell if we're live, but I don't know where it is.
On my other monitor.
Okay, so
Let's wait.
if we start at 4:22, let's try and keep this to 30 minutes, I guess. Oh shit! I'm totally watching myself in one window somewhere. I can't figure it
Oh,
out.
hey, can you hear
Okay.
yourself?
Yeah, I could. Um, so 30 minutes, real quick. We'll talk about Blade Symphony work recently and other non-Blade Symphony work, like back end shit, and then I'll mention something about a community manager. But um, Garrett, I know what you're working on. You're working on the backend API. That's
Oh,
like that's connecting Patreon to Discord to Steam. And the reason
yeah.
we're
So,
doing that, okay, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, if you want to talk about it, I can talk about it if you want.
Sure.
All right. So, what I'm doing right now is I'm building a really simple web service um, for Patreon supporters, so that way they can log in and link their Patreon account to their Steam account. This lets you basically get your supporter rewards in game in Blade Symphony, because Blade Symphony will then talk to our supporter API. And yeah,
And I think so we're talking about some rewards being like maybe a specific cape, a badge in the scoreboard. And Josh, call out any of this that is like a stupid idea.
Okay.
Like a sword or footstep color that is exclusive for people who are supporters. I don't know what else I can think of right now. I think we talked a little bit about this last week, like dripping capes. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Garrett, you had that really good idea about like putting a background for the intro camera.
yeah, the intro
We
stuff.
could
So
do,
can because it's actually really easy to do. Also, in the supporter API, check to see if we'll have bought other Puny Human games like Galicide, or if they have Dystopia account, and then we
right.
can also grant items that way. So we might be able to do like a cool little background for like Galicide or Dystopia, so you can use that if you have those games in your Steam account.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, obviously, this just means that these are things that Josh will have to like create a selection thing
Yeah.
for
Or
the background stuff. So it's probably
just do
easiest.
that for granting Steam items, and then if as long as you have a selection for Steam items, then
That's true. Well,
yeah,
like I mean, there's no way to view them in game, is what I was trying to get at. Was there's no way to easily be like, oh, here's what your intro camera looks like without actually playing a duel. But you know, that's further down the line. For right now, we could just do like capes, glowing swords, and scoreboard badges in Blade Symphony pretty easily. I think you mentioned that like different colored particles for weapon fire in Galside was very
yeah,
quick.
that could be pretty easy. Also, intro particles for Galicide. So like if you own something I was thinking would be kind of cool earlier today was like instead of like that fly-in effect when you respawn,
Yeah,
uh, maybe have like a sword slash if you own Blade Symphony.
it's kind of nice. We did not like finish all those like the fly-in intros for that game. Like I think I want to say it's only the mining ship and the first one, the frigate.
I noticed you guys have a system for it, a little bit of one.
Hmm. I think
Uh,
yeah, I think Ryan wrote one, and then they
shouldn't
don't
be too
really.
hard to ban
Yeah,
if we want to.
we can create pretty cool ones and some custom ones too. And having something maybe even implementing that same system when you respawn would be nice because right now when you respawn you just appear and blink, which is cool. But having something where you kind of maybe fly in screen into the screen would be cool. Using the same intro.
But
I
yeah,
don't know.
but yeah, the idea is that supporters just need to go in, sign in once with their Steam account, and then link their Patreon and then Discord. And as we add new supporter perks and things like that, it'll just automatically happen. So
Right.
that's
Then
the
speaking of, I guess the Patreon perks, I did sort of add more tiers yesterday, where I talk about some of the different. I mean, just the stuff that we know we can do right now. I think we're going to stick to pretty much 4 tiers and keep the prices just about the same because we're not looking. Oof, the thunderstorm. We're not looking at like having $50 tiers, unless there's some like reward that we can come up with, which is just amazing, right? Um, but even at like $12 per month, a name in the credits would be cool. And then at that level also like, intro, like exclusive intro things and badges and, all sorts of stuff that we can throw in game. And like you said, cross promote the different games.
Yep.
Okay. So that's your API. Josh, what's your API?
Hello. I decided to rewrite the free-to-play API that I've done so far in C# because it would be a lot easier for keeping it ongoing and adding more things across time, because the way it was done in Node was quite hacky because there's a lot of repeatedness in it, and the non-type safe nature of it kind of makes it a real pain to debug, as well as having no real debugger.
So you're replacing your Node implementation of the API with C#. And
yes,
this is just the same stuff that's going to allow us to like start a weekly double XP thing or daily event.
Yeah. And I was thinking we could link that in with the bot. So the bot on the Discord server, we could say something like double XP. And then for the next week, the Blade Symphony API would know, hey, it's double XP.
Cool. Just tell everyone in Discord how it's going to work, right? So that I'm just kidding. We can write the bot in a way where it's only going to take commands from our roles. So we can say it in fucking general. And
we could also make it so that if you're in the Discord server, you get more XP or something using the integrations API that Garrett was working on.
So it'll integrate, your API will integrate his API that way.
Yeah. If we wanted to do something like that, we could.
I'm doing a lot of this with my fingers. So basically it would allow you to determine whether someone's a Discord or Patreon member, which would be good if like you want to give rewards. I guess it would have to go through your API, I believe.
Yeah. I also started.
I didn't hear a thing.
I also started work on another library that's in C# called Puny Steam. Well, it's not Puny Steam, it's PunyLib, but it has a Steam thing, and it's just a way to make calls to the Steam web API very easy. And it even has a magic thing, has a magic attribute you can add to any get, controller, and it will validate that the user's details match their Steam ID and their ticket and everything, and it'll make sure that you are the right user without doing anything. You just literally add the attribute now. So that kind of makes it a lot easier to write functions like that.
So is there any overlap between what you're doing with that API and what Garrett's doing? Because it sounds like there kind of is.
Yeah, I thought there might have been. So that's why I separated my API into the actual API and the library called PunyLib. And I don't know whether Garrett's used it yet, but it might be useful.
You submitted it right before we started this meeting, so no, I haven't used it yet. But
let's obviously avoid overlap, because I don't want to have a database and an API for each one of these fucking things. I mean, just for simplicity's sake, the reason that we moved off of the stat server, the Blade Symphony stat, or that we're moving away from it, is because we have this giant web application that nobody knows how to work on, because it was built using this kind of very particular framework. And it's cumbersome and it's large and it's prone to bugs, but that's all just because it's a big thing. If we have like very slim APIs with very miniature databases, or at least not miniature, but like a couple of tables, a couple of columns, as opposed to 70 tables with each table having like 50 fucking columns or some shit like that, it would go a long way. So let's just continue to keep it very simple if we can.
I've also been working on if you remember last time we had that shader issue where the guy was entirely blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
no longer entirely blue, and people are colored correctly if you look on the screen.
So I don't know if it's because you're probably doing your 4K thing, and your window is probably 4K, but your latency comes across. It's like 4 frames a second, which isn't
That's
awful.
actually that's 1080p, but I don't think screen sharing likes games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can at least see that Pure has a glow on her sword. It's kind of an outline, right?
Yeah, it's a rim glow type thing. And if you look in the bottom left, also we've got new stance icons.
So you implemented Pures. We have Pure, Vanguard, and Ryoku's right now, right?
Yeah. If we go on to that, I can show you those as well.
We don't have the other two, Judgment and Night.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's wondering, we're redoing the stance icons not because they were bad; they were actually really good, but because we lost the sources. And when we transitioned to a new engine, it did. You'll have to explain the feature, Josh, but there was like
a thing called distance field alpha, and
yeah, and they did away with that in
field alpha industries, and it's basically a fancy way of kind of doing a vector, but not really a vector. Yeah, it's very weird, and it's no longer supported in CS:GO. So
we're replacing it with a font.
Yeah, I mean, we could have added it back in, but the problem there that we would have is that the shader that we would have to use is called unlit generic, and it already has too many combos. So we literally cannot add any more combos to it. So that kind of shoved that idea
So if we
out the
remove
window.
that, that's one less combo.
Well, it is lots more combos because there's the outline combo, there's the distance field combo, there's a few others, I think.
Oh, shaders.
Okay. Have made it a lot more combos.
So, Grits asked a question, who is not Muffle. I'm going to call him Muffle now. Grits is not the same person as Muffle. So the new supporter tier thing indicates it's like $7 for free-to-play access before we release. Correct. Yes, it's free-to-play access, access to the new Galside update. We do have intention in the future. Hasn't been started to add multiplayer to Galside, but we're not going to commit to that just yet. Like, we're not going to be like, yes, we're definitely doing it, but we do want to do it. And then a new Dystopia update, which would be like Mac Linux and a newer engine. I would like to see happen, but again, we can't commit to that. So all those new things would be like in betas, and you would receive Steam keys for those through this Patreon Discord API that that Garrett's working on. So if you already have it, fine, you're good. It's gonna basically it's just gonna show that you have
a Steam key
access to it. Yeah, to a Steam key. But if you don't have it, then that will be where you retrieve it. So, and then for the people who don't support and already have a beta key, whatever. I mean, we gave out some, but I have a feeling that some of those people will come back and maybe support, which would be cool. And then speaking of the Patreon support stuff, I guess actually let me talk real quick about what I've been doing. This week I spent most of my time with regards to our internal stuff on the Mac build, and we made a lot of progress this week. Got through this issue where one of the libraries related to the engine was not compiling, so compiled the engine. We were able to make the make files. We're able to compile the engine make file today with the shaders, which is good. But now we're missing a couple files from Valve. But they just responded and said that we can build them ourselves. So, Josh, did you add those?
No, but I can actually do that right now.
Okay, if you can do that, I can restart an engine build. Oh no, I'm sorry, a game build. Because if this game, I mean, if it's just those two errors,
Mhm.
we might have a Mac build working tonight. I mean, granted, if it launches and doesn't fucking crash, but I have a feeling like if it's getting this far with the game build, that's a really good sign. So I'm hoping it's like a day or two away from having a Mac build, which is cool just because I really support sort of platform agnosticity. Nope, can't say it.
Agnosticism.
Sure. Yep. Just go with that. So once that's done, I'm going to make a Blade Symphony post, like a blog post, pretty much formally announcing that free to play is coming. And it's going to say, you know, we're going to do, it's an engine update. We're doing this many platforms. We're regrettably getting rid of the ELO system or the ladder system with ELO and the stat system, but we are replacing it with a level progression system. And the reasons why, because I do think in the future with this API that you're building that we could bring some of that back. I would like to see some of it because it's kind of cool. It shows it's really the preferred way of doing it. But the progression offers something, like the XP progression offers something for people to keep coming back for. So we might, you know, maybe in the future, I don't know, add in some kind of like ELO rank or something based on your wins losses. But and then a couple other things like marketplace items for instead of workshop. That's really it, and just basically have a blog post that's out there. And then I was going to make a blog post on the Puny Human website about a couple of different things. We're only a few days away. Once we have all this, we're only a few days away of announcing pretty much this long-term partnership with some of our clients, or one of our biggest clients, our most active client right now. We've gotten the okay to just be like, yep, we're working on these games with this company, and we've been doing it for like 2 years, and they're going to sort of cross-promote as well, so that everyone who's been working on games for those clients can actually not talk about it, but at least be like, yep, I've been doing work for this game. And a couple other things in the website as well. I will be putting up a post for a community manager / communications person, someone to manage the blogs, make web posts, interact more with the community, schedule events like Blade Symphony actual like meetups or pubs or pugs or whatever, and then some kind of event with Galside, potentially Dystopia meetups. I know Les does that every week, but I'm kind of preferring someone local. Say it again.
I pushed the OSX fix.
Oh, sweet. So that was kind of my update, is what I've been working on. So expect a couple of blog posts. I'll probably put out a Galside blog post just basically saying like, we're working to update the engine. Yeah. Steam controller, which is still sitting there. It's like, it's just waiting on me to update, really. That's, yeah, I'm a bad person. So that's me. Did anyone else want to talk real quick about what else they've been working on this week? Does anyone have anything else that I can think of?
I can't really talk about anything that
And nothing I can say.
You're pretty much all client work right now, Michael. Sadly. I gotta rebuild engine.
I don't know, change then. Garrett poking around with like Patreon sounds interesting. Might poke him on that.
Sounded like you said Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, he has that Bulbasaur.
Yeah. Gonna do Derpy Bulbasaur as my Steam profile picture.
And that Derpy Pikachu is the other
yeah.
one.
It's a Ditto 2.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. But it replaces my Bulbasaur replaces Batmander.
Batmander?
That's right. Yeah.
So
Charmander.
All in all, that's one API from you, Garrett, and 2 APIs from you, Josh.
Well, one of them's an API and the other's a library that's
Oh, right,
used
the
by
library.
APIs.
Oh yeah, Discord bot too, but that's gonna.
Oh yeah, the Discord bot's next, I guess.
Yeah, that's after.
And then Josh, back probably like after the API stuff, back on like sword glows, footsteps. What else did we talk about? Name glowing in the scoreboard, text chat.
Oh, name glowing. I haven't heard that before, but that's something we can certainly do.
Like an outline of like glowing around the
Yeah,
name
we can
in
do
the
that.
scoreboard, or
We can do that very easily.
and then all those little different features that we can put in there and make progression around. Oh, and then did you already split the system to be based on characters? Because I don't know if we talked about that last
I was
week.
planning on doing that after I finished the initial C# part.
Okay. For anyone, I don't know if we talked about it last week, but in case we did, like, we had the idea to actually split up levels based on characters. So, like, you might have like a level 15 pure and you're fighting like a level 18 judgment, right? But like, you also have a level 2 judgment. So the reason that we'd be doing that, it would be able to offer a little bit more like variety with what we can offer, like unlocks and whatnot. So you get to level 10 and you unlock like a certain mask for a certain character, and then there's also like just more different directions that we can get in in that way. But there's a list of stuff for you, Josh, after you're done with the APIs. So so I don't have anything else. Does anyone have any thoughts, things that they want to say? Does anyone have any questions? I am looking at both chats, or I'm reading them.
Yeah, if there's any questions about any of the stuff we're working on. It's not all flashy though.
I wish Muffin was watching the stream. I really like Muffin. He's a cool guy. He's a
I have a
good.
question. Who is your most favorite supporter?
Wow.
I know,
like
right? Now you have two
Selecting your
favorites.
favorite child.
I
I
think
know.
so I'm gonna have like a favorite every week. My
There you go.
favorite this week has got to be Tetrabor, which I forgot what he goes by. It's not Elmo, is it? Oh God, I hope it's not Elmo. I think it's Elmo. I can't remember, but because everyone changes their fucking name all the time.
I think it's
if you look at like my Steam list, everyone has nicknames like
I gotta
Garrett.
start doing that.
Garrett's called Garrett because
Yeah.
I don't know what he was talking about changing his nickname a while ago, and I was like, I bet you he's gonna do it one night, and it's just
and you're not going to realize it. You're just
I'm
going to get a
never gonna
random
find
message
him.
from somebody, and you're
Yeah.
going to be like, "Who is this?"
Yeah, who is why, and go back to sleep, and that's about it.
I would say Tetrabor is my favorite this week just because of the amount of stuff he's doing with Blade Symphony maps. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I need to add nicknames for people on my Steam list because you guys keep fucking changing your names all the time. Stop it.
They put them in there like 5 years ago, and they've been like the most useful feature they've ever added to the Friends ecosystem.
Discord
Right up
should
there.
have nicknames,
Yeah.
like personal ones.
That I mean,
Yeah.
I think they try to skirt that because you can go to the profile and the user info is links to everything else, so you can eventually figure out who's who, somewhat.
So Raffle did say in chat that he suggested that we turn the workshop items on, or workshop on by default. He said workshop items are turned off by default, which we should turn on, is what he says. And yes, the workshop has a ton of stuff, but I don't know where we landed on workshop versus marketplace or either. But I do recall when I looked at the wallpaper engine stuff with what Biohazard's done, I really liked his model. It seemed like the most open, where we would just like curate different workshop items, I guess. I can't remember if that's how it worked. But yeah, I mean, depending on further discussion with Josh, it's sort of I would personally like to open the workshop up, and then if people want to sell their items, like they can go through the process of putting it on the marketplace, and then we would curate those items so that there can be as much many things that they can access and put on their heads or in their faces. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, so that is still something we're doing there, raffle. Okay, then I think we're all good for today. Was that been 30 minutes? 4:20, 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week. It's going to be roughly the same time, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock, wherever Josh lives.
And mythical fantasy time.
Yeah, we should have a whole lot of big announcements between now and next week, which would be like we'll actually announce. I'll do the whole Twitter, Facebook push, and blog post on the Mac build, and what the fact that free to play is coming. Oh, and I'm gonna send out a mailing list thing. We have this big mailing list we use, and then we'll probably also announce our client work, which, if any of you are curious, Spire, the artist on Blade Symphony and Gallicide and Dystopia, we've had him forever. Same with Twin Can, we've had him forever. And Ryan Varix, all three of them have been working on for our clients, in addition to Garrett and Michael Brune. So essentially 5 people, including 6, including myself, are working on client stuff. So we'll be able to talk about who they are next week and how long we've been working for them and all that exciting jazz. So a lot of stuff within this next week. Stay tuned and tell your friends about Patreon. Great. All right. I'll see you guys later.